Hey, what's up? This is MVDB, and we are here for our first book review of the Tribal Experience, right? So if you don't know what the Tribal Experience is, I have a private Facebook group where you can join, right? And it's a community of about 180 or 150 people up to now, but it's growing each day. And as I said, it's conscious warriors with a heart. We try to build conscious people, right? Having a conscience, really knowing what's wrong, what's right for you, for the world, for the people around you. Warriors, people that have a will to continue and to execute what they know they have to execute, and in spite of the challenges and the obstacles along the road, and with a heart with the main purpose of leaving this world a better place, contributing in the healing of this earth, right? Because we need it. Now, that said, that is a private Facebook group where you can join. I'll make sure you have a link to click on and then just join the tribe, right? So, and there we have the Tribal Experience, where we have a monthly theme, right? And this monthly themes, this September, was all about positive thinking and improving your self-image. We also have coming up in October, the wisdom of our body, right? Understanding its signals. So be sure, if you want to learn more about that, to join. And we also have persistence, we have nutrition, we have movement. We really have a monthly theme that we come back to each month, right? But it's also coupled to a challenge. For instance, this month, right, we did the Tony Robbins challenge of having no negative thinking during 7 days. And it's harder than you think, right? Then third, we have also this, and that's what I'm going to do in this video. That's the purpose of this video, is to make a book review, sharing you the ideas, the main ideas of the book, with the main purpose, it's tied to the monthly theme, obviously. And this month's book is Martin Selligman's Learned Optimism, okay? And so Martin Selligman is a positive psychologist, as he likes to call himself, and he's one of the top leaders in positive psychology. He also has the book Authentic Happiness. Be sure to check that out. And he has these famous signature strengths. And the signature strengths, they're very powerful. Basically what it is in a nutshell is, all the great, religious books, such as, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Dhammapada, the Quran, and stuff like that. He, analyzed those books and just took all the essentials, where they agree upon. Now, isn't that the message of the Dalai Lama, right? To start a dialogue between religions. And so, to focus upon where they agree upon, right? And I think, if I remember right, there were 6 main principles. Okay, and from those 5 or 6 main principles, he made signature strengths 24, such as social intelligence, such as kindness, creativity, spirituality, etc., right? And so each and every person has his own strengths, and like the first top 5 strengths. And what does Gary Vaynerchuk say all the time? Focus on your strengths, right? Tai Lopez says it, Gary Vaynerchuk, all the greats, Michael Jordan, whatever. So, Martin Selligman, badass guy. He, in this book as well, Learned Optimism, okay, is is what it is, right? It's learning optimism, because it's something that can be learned. And that's what I want to share with you right here. His book, right? The main ideas of it. And so let me jump in there, right? So the book Learned Optimism, okay, basically handles our habits of thinking. He says what that is, right? What's happening is we have habits of thinking. We are creatures of habit, right? And as you know, as Brian Tracy says, your habits create your character, and your character create your personality. It's how you interact with people and how people perceive you. So those habits of thinking are very important, and that's the first point, right? The habits of thinking. Now, habits of thinking are so important because that's your explanatory style in your head. Okay, so how you talk to yourself. Now, how you talk to yourself is also really how you perceive yourself to be. So, and if that is for any reason a negative, right, then you're a pessimist, right? And so he goes on to say we have optimists and we have pessimists, right? And he doesn't say the one is better than the other. Well, he actually does. Pessimists, he says pessimists just don't do as good as optimists. That's just plain. He has. If you listen to the book or read the book, I don't have it here because I've listened to the audiobook, which is a compromised version, a condensed version of it. And so we have the pessimists, and they just do, they get sicker easier, they have more depression. And optimists just, get better jobs, they age better, they have got better health, and so forth, so on and so forth, right? So first off, the habits of thinking, explanatory style, okay? Now, what are optimists and what are pessimists? Optimists, first and foremost, or let's start with the pessimists, right? Something we all really have in our nature as well, to be pessimists from time to time. But what he says about pessimism is, it's people who have learned helplessness. And he summarizes learned helplessness as the state of affairs in which nothing you do affects what happens to you. So it's really, what he's saying with that is that it's your response, that everything that you don't choose to do, right, is really affecting you, right? It's, for instance, when you have, he goes on and gives the example of contracting your eyeball. You can't do that. Now, those are things that are beyond your control. You don't choose to do them. But with people, with pessimists, they still have a serious impact on them. And they'll learn helplessness, and they're like, I can't do this, right? So, whereas optimists, they take control over what they can control. And let me give you an example, right? So, what can't we control? The weather, the way people react to us, right? Those are all things we can't control. So, why the hell bother about that? Now, what we can take control over is our thoughts. Surprise, surprise. Optimism, right? So we can learn that, okay? And then we go to the second idea. And the second idea is all about, the 3 P's of the habits of thinking. And they're permanence, pervasiveness, and taking it personal, personality, right? Or no, taking it personal, sorry. So permanence, do you believe that things, keep being permanent? Pervasiveness, is one thing going to affect the whole, right? Is it universal or is it something specific? And then personal, where personal is, do you take it personal or is it circumstances? Now let me get into those, because there's a test you can take, and some of you in the tribe, right, asked me, well, okay, MVDB, I took this test online, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put the link down below. They have a series of questions. I think it's around 70 questions or something. It takes 15 minutes, and you get to know your score of overall optimism. And they score permanence, pervasiveness, hope, and personal, if you take it personal. And so in the tests, right, we have permanent good, permanent bad, we have pervasive good, pervasive bad, we have hope, and we have personal, right? And he, in the book, he explains that. He says, well, if we have permanent and we have optimists and pessimists, we have permanent good, permanent bad, and either one, is going to choose the permanent good or permanent bad, and that determines whether you're optimist or pessimist. So let me get in here. The permanent bad, right? So it's going to make you permanently helpless. If you think that everything stays bad, right, you will probably be a pessimist. No, you are a pessimist, right? So permanent bad. So for instance, there's a test that you do and you fail. And you think, oh man, I suck at math. And math, I always fail. I fucking always fail here. So then you think everything is going to be bad and it will continue. If you accept that, then you're a pessimist, because then you're also learned helplessness. You're helpless in math, but you think you will always be. Whereas we've seen that if you're an optimist and you can take control of that, math, for fuck's sake, you can learn. Maybe, yes, we have certain brain structures, and one person is, just better in math than others, but still you can learn math. If you put in the work, if you get mentors, it becomes easier. That's with everything, and that's the whole thing. You can learn math. Maybe in the beginning it's not easy. Maybe it won't come easy to you, but you can either accept it and just say, you know what, I'm going to try my best and not, be pessimistic about it, or I'm going to start doing something about it. It won't affect you. That's what optimism is all about, okay? Now, whereas you think that permanent good, if you scored high in the permanent good, that's nice. Because if you're good at math and you think you are, well then guess what? Your focus is going to be on that, and you think you're going to love math. And then you're going to be better and better at math because you do something for it, you study, and everything unfolds. And so it's going to, you believe that it's universal, and that's going to make you an optimist. Okay? So then, and it's just proven that if you're, he says it in the book, is that if you're permanent good, then you're just going to thrive harder. It's just that simple, right? Whereas you think, if you score low in permanent good, then you think your success was a fluke, right? And that's just going to have an impact on your thinking and on your being. Okay, pervasiveness, second one, pervasive. Let's start with pervasive bad. Okay, so that's where you catastrophize the things, right? So, you think that one thing that happened is just gonna blow up your day, right? Let's continue on the math part because it's easy, right? So you had your test, and it just, do you know that person that, has this test and then just, it's fucking, the whole day just goes to bits, right? Everything then after that just blows up your day. It's fucked up. I had a bad test. If it's in the morning, everything that happens after that, I don't care. If we have a class and that sucks. My food sucks. The interaction with people sucks. What the hell is that all about, Just because of that one thing. What the hell? Now, whereas when you believe, if you scored low in the pervasive bad, then you just think that one thing, then you accept that it's just a specific case and that it doesn't have anything to do with all the other things, right? Simple as that. Pervasive good. You want to be on the pervasive good side, because if you, have a good test in math, it's going to affect your whole day. You think, yes, right? And then you think you're on a roll, right? And you probably know that feeling of momentum. One thing goes well, and then the other thing goes well, and yes, you're on a roll. Woohoo! Yes, and you start seeing sometimes, so where your focus expands, right? Where you focus upon expands. So you start seeing things sometimes like, yes, and it starts having meaning, right? You have faith, and it's like, yes, the interaction with that person was so awesome. She's damn awesome, right? Oh, I love that girl. Wow, that's cool. Oh, wow, and look here, the food, oh, it tastes so well. This is my best day ever. So you're starting to see that, it's not about you want to be, permanent is good or permanent is bad. No, you want to use the permanence into your advantage. So if you want to be an optimist and you think permanence stays, that's where you want to focus upon. That's what you want to choose. Now, so there's a shift that you have to do. So you have to, or let's say, to be an optimist and to flourish, to get that momentum, that vibe, that rhythm of life, the flow of life, which is what optimism gives you. You just have to, be aware of that, become aware of, okay, so permanent good, everything's universal. But something bad happens, permanence, no, right? This is something specific. So you could say it's like you're bipolar, right? Or, you're a fucking hypocrite. And it's really not, as we'll see. He explains later on in the book, which we'll get to, that, that is really what the essence is all about. And you can choose to be an optimist, or you can choose to be a pessimist. That's just damn simple. But he gives tricks, right, on how to do that, how to go about that, and I'll share that later on. And then the tests, there's hope, right? So hope is really what determines, if you scored high in the hope part, it's easy, right? It's what it will determine whether you will collapse under pressure or not. Right? So there's the signs of hope as well. I won't go on and go further into that. The essence of the book is really to summarize this. But there's the signs of hope, which is, do you believe that you're on your purpose? Are you taking actions upon it? And you have different optionality, different roads you can take. That's the signs of hope. There's always a road. That's really what hope is, right? There's always something you can do. There's optionality. Focus on options. And if you scored low in hope, then it's pretty damn simple that you are going to collapse under pressure, because you're always going to take a hit, and there's only as much hits you can take. There's only as much willpower you have in life. Now, so the pervasiveness and the permanence control what you do. Now let's go to personalization. Personalization, okay, controls the way you feel, right? So whether you take things personal or not, whether you're gonna blame yourself or blame circumstances. So, let's take that math part again, okay? Let's say you have a bad test in math, and you can start blaming yourself and say, I knew it, I suck, I didn't study enough, and it's always the same, and I'm just fucking stupid, I'm dumb, right? You can do that. Or you can have a bad math test and say, well, you know what, I actually was pretty tired, and maybe I could have studied a bit more, but to be fair, there was a feast going on, and I was tired, and I partied too much, and that party, if the party wouldn't have been there, well, then I wouldn't have had a bad test. Now, there's a dangerous part here, and he says that as well in the book, and that's where you forget to take responsibility. It's by any means is this putting your responsibility somewhere else. By any means. This is just the way you talk to yourself, and whether you're going to determine whether your circumstances are going to give you a negative feel or not. What optimism then is seeing the things you've done wrong, but not letting them affect you. Okay, so always take responsibility. So just analyze. So, okay, maybe I didn't study enough. And you can start blaming yourself. I didn't study enough. I suck. I have no willpower whatsoever. Or you can say the circumstance was that I didn't study enough. Aha, now I know. You can see that's what pain is. That's what a bad test is. It's just feedback to get better. That's it, right? So responsibility is the way you choose how to speak, how to think, and how to act. That's what responsibility is. And then you determine by optimism whether your circumstances are going to affect you or not. Now, so those were the test's results. So how did you score on that test? It's important. Did you have maybe a bad score on permanent bad, and you have a high score on, which means you have a high score on permanent bad? Well, there's or other parts, right, that say that you could improve your optimism. Well, as we've already discussed, and that's the fourth part, it's flexible. You can learn optimism, right? You can learn it. Now, before I go into learning optimism, let me say point number 4 is, and that's a very important part, is that optimism, better be flexible. Because, sometimes optimism just doesn't serve us. He says that. That's why it has to be flexible, right? So, what is the factor that determines that? The factor that determines that is whether, what is the cost of failure going to be, right? So you don't want to be an optimist all the time. For instance, when he goes on and explains that an example of when you're a pilot and your plane is about to crash, right? You don't want to be an optimist. That's where you want to be a pessimist, right? Because you want to know exactly what goes wrong and what you have to do. Whereas, you're an optimist and all the people in the plane, well, this plane, God, right, is going to take care of me. Or, maybe some miracle will appear. And it's not really that bad. I have had a good life. Let's die. No, right? So that's where you want to be flexible. That's where you want to be a pessimist at that time. And so, what is the cost of failure going to be? If you're going to fail, you're going to crash an airplane, you're gonna fail a lot. Believe me, you're gonna die. You know, that's a matter of death and life. But going back to that test result, or you know, it can be anything really. You know, you lost your friend's phone or whatever. Yeah, there's a, you know, if you lost a friend's phone, it sucks. But really, I mean, are you gonna die? I don't think so. You know, that's where solutions can pop up, right? So the cost of failure is not gonna be as high as death, okay? And that's where you wanna choose. So if you're still doubting, you know, do I have to learn optimism? There's 3 questions you can ask yourself, and it's, first off, do I get discouraged easily? Second, do I get more depressed than I want to? And 3, do I fail more than I think I should? If that's the case, and either way you scored high, then you want to learn your optimism, right? Are you failing more than you think you should? Do you get more depressed than you want to? And do you get discouraged easily? So that's when you want to learn those tricks, right? We can learn optimism. And Martin Selligman, that's the 5th idea, you know, gives us an ABC. He gives us a solution. He shows us what is going on inside our brain, the whole structure. He unfolds it, he puts it out, he unfolds it for us. And let's do that, right? He gives us the ABC of the optimism. He gives us what's going on in the head and how we can, you know, counterpart that pessimistic part of us, and how we can, you know, create a solution for us and become better optimists, right? We want to become part of the people that are optimists because they just do better, right? Research shows that they get better jobs, they get better health, they have better relationships, right? So, you know, do you want to be on the part of the learned helplessness, you know, and become, you know, sicker easier, get less better jobs, you know, and be naggy all the time? Well, then it's your choice. Or maybe you're not choosing for it, and then you're still in the learned helplessness part. Or you can choose to be part of those people that really thrive, you know, that are in the flow, in a state of flow, and that just where things come easily to them, right? Do you know those people? Can you imagine them, right? And I sure, you know, that's really why I wanted this book to be there, and that's why I'm sharing this in, you know, the tribe. That's why we're discussing this. That's why we're discussing this book in the tribe, because I want my warriors, you know, to be in that state. I want them to have that part of them, you know. And so here I'm going to, you know, stop. If you're not in the tribe, in the private Facebook group, then, you know, I'm going to continue there. I really want to share some, you know, more value as well down there. I think, you know, if you're serious about this, then, you know, just join the tribe. And if you want to learn and get more, you can either get the book, right, or choose, you know, to become part of a community and share so much, right? Because you will learn so much more when you share with people. You'll learn more. That's the factor of community, of tribe, you know. That's what we human beings are born for, right? To be in a community, to be social, and that's just how we learn better. And also, if we can share our optimism, you know, that's just when science shows that we thrive better. Jim Rohn says, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Well, what happens if you surround yourself with 150 people, right? So it's just been shown also that, you know, you are a social being and that you learn so much better socially. And this is, you know, the reason also why I give this to my warriors, because you know, I really want my warriors to be optimists and help each other, you know, get further in life, become conscious, become a warrior, become a heart. You know, if I just keep giving this, you know, some people will watch it, other people won't, and then, you know, it just keeps on being out there. You know, things really become matter when you specify. Okay, so that's why I really want to bring the best content in the tribe, where then that gets converted into another and even better energy. So if you want to become part of that flow state, of that, better part, well, then just join the tribe, and then that's where we create things that matter, and we can connect together, and just make this world together a better place, right? So see you in the tribe.